Did you know there's a voice older than the universe itself? A voice that stood beside God when the world was created. That same voice is still calling you today, and it can completely change the course of your life. Proverbs chapter 8 reveals that wisdom is not just an abstract idea, but a living presence crying out in the streets, at the city gates, in the busiest places of life. She is not a treasure hidden for the elite, but a public invitation offered to all who desire to see beyond appearances. And here's the secret: whoever listens to this voice discovers life, favor, and divine purpose. But whoever rejects it is unknowingly embracing death. That is why this chapter is one of the most powerful in all of Scripture. It places us at the crossroads of the greatest choice of our existence. In this video, you will uncover 15 powerful revelations from Proverbs 8 that show how wisdom speaks, what she offers, and why she is the key to living fully, justly, and eternally. Prepare yourself, because what you are about to hear may redefine not only your next steps, but your destiny itself. Before we continue, if you like our videos and feel that they have blessed your life, please like and comment, even if it's just an amen. This makes a huge difference in getting this content to more people and impacting lives. If you're not subscribed yet, take the opportunity to subscribe. Turn on notifications and share with your loved ones. This way, YouTube will get to know you better and recommend even more videos like this to help you on your faith journey. Help spread this message of faith and hope. Each like, comment, and share strengthens this work, which we do with great care to build up your life. Together, we can reach even more hearts. Continuing. Wisdom does not hide in secret temples or unreachable places. She raises her voice in the streets, in the squares, and at the gates of the city, where everyone can hear. This means God never left man without direction, for her call is available at every step of life. Wisdom is not the privilege of scholars or religious leaders, but a gift offered to all. Her voice echoes in every decision, every opportunity, and every crisis. Whoever has ears to hear can perceive her constant invitation. This disarms the excuse of those who say they cannot find the truth. Wisdom presents herself clearly, openly, in the most ordinary places. She is like a shining sign in the darkness of the city, catching the attention of all who pass by. The Bible emphasizes that wisdom shouts at the gates, the busiest place of social life. Business, justice, and gatherings all happen there. If she is there, it is because she wants to be found. The message is clear. Those who do not find her have chosen to ignore her. Many think wisdom is inaccessible, like a riddle reserved for the enlightened few. But the biblical text breaks that myth, showing she offers herself publicly. God wants everyone to have the chance to choose truth. What is lacking is not access, but decision. How many times have we heard wise counsel from someone unexpected, someone humble but full of truth? That proves wisdom is not hidden, but scattered like seeds ready to sprout. Another key is that wisdom manifests in many ways. Sometimes she comes through conscience, sometimes through people, circumstances, or even painful warnings of life. No matter the channel, her voice is still public and accessible. The choice is ours, to hear and follow, or to ignore and suffer the consequences. She never tires of speaking, but we are the ones who silence her. That changes everything, because it shows responsibility rests on us. Wisdom also stands in contrast with the confusing voices of the world. While deception whispers in dark alleys promising instant pleasure, wisdom lifts her voice in the open. She is not ashamed to speak out because her light cannot be put out. And if someone closes their ears, it is out of pride or distraction. The fact she speaks in public spaces shows she is for everyone, regardless of class, culture, or age. She is democratic, but requires humility to be embraced. Notice that the text does not describe wisdom as cold philosophy, but as a living presence crying out for attention. She is like a mother calling her children home before night falls. This cry is not desperation, but persistent love. God, in His goodness, left wisdom accessible at every corner of life, so no one could claim ignorance. She is in Scripture, in experiences, even in the consequences of our choices. She is a constant voice. Thus, the first great lesson of Proverbs 8 is clear. Wisdom is not hidden. She stands before us, exposed, insistent, accessible. The real question is, why do so many reject her? The problem is not lack of access, but lack of attention. She continues to cry out, but it is up to us to decide if we will stop to listen. To ignore her is to close our ears to God Himself, who daily calls us to live with purpose, direction, and light. Wisdom shows no favoritism. She speaks especially to the simple, the inexperienced, and even the foolish. This reveals something extraordinary. No one is beyond transformation. Wisdom does not wait for perfection before she speaks. She comes to those who most need her. God does not reserve His direction only for the powerful, but offers it to all. Even those who feel unprepared can be taught. The only requirement is an open heart. This detail reveals God's love for humanity. Instead of excluding those who stumble, wisdom invites them to learn. Her call is like an open school with no registration, no age limit. Anyone can enter and receive lessons that redirect life. Many believe only the educated or spiritual have access to divine understanding, but the Bible says otherwise. The simple who decide to listen can become wise. And that contrast is where the beauty lies. It is important to see that simple here does not only mean lacking knowledge. It refers to lack of discernment, the kind of naivete that leads to poor choices. And it is right there that wisdom becomes medicine. She offers instruction to avoid traps, clarity to stay on the right path, and discernment to see beyond appearances. The simple are not condemned, they are invited to grow. That proves no one is doomed to ignorance. Wisdom's call is also a warning against pride. Those who think they already know everything rarely open themselves to listen, but the simple, because they recognize their lack, are more likely to embrace instruction. That is why Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." Wisdom pours herself out on those willing to be learners. No matter how many times someone has failed, if they decide to listen, their path can be completely changed. The text pushes us to reflect on how often we complicate access to wisdom. We build barriers, thinking it takes years of preparation, but in reality everything begins with humility. Just admit, "I don't know, but I want to learn." That is the secret to opening wisdom's doors. She is closer to those who acknowledge weakness than to those who claim strength. The simple receive a direct invitation because dependence opens space for God to act. The beauty here is that wisdom does not reject anyone. All have the chance to grow, regardless of background, culture, or past. The simple can become wise, the inexperienced prudent, even the fool discerning. The path is progressive, first hearing, then practicing, then reaping. Those who accept this call begin a journey of transformation. Wisdom is not a natural gift, but a constant decision. Thus, the second great truth of Proverbs 8 is clear. Wisdom is inclusive. Her call is directed to all, but especially to those who admit their need. This destroys the idea that some people cannot change. Wisdom cries out to the simple because it is there God's power shines brightest. What determines the future is not how we start, but how we respond to the call. Whoever listens and follows, even if starting small, will end great before God. Wisdom never speaks empty or deceitful words. Proverbs 8 says that from her mouth come righteousness, clarity, and truth. This means that every counsel inspired by wisdom leads to life and justice, leaving no room for distortion. Unlike the voices of the world, which mix lies with the appearance of truth, wisdom is pure at its core. Her speech is upright, free of perversity and deception. Whoever listens finds firmness, because there is no shadow of falsehood in what she declares. This characteristic is crucial, especially in times of confusion. The world offers countless opinions, but very few certainties. Everyone seems to create their own truth, but biblical wisdom stands as absolute. What she declares does not change with trends or ideologies. Her righteousness is eternal. This stability produces security because there is no risk of being misled. Those who lean on wisdom stand on a foundation as solid as a rock that cannot be moved by storms. Another powerful detail is that wisdom does not need to be dressed up to become attractive. Her words are beautiful in themselves because they carry the force of truth. There is no need for manipulation, exaggeration, or seductive tricks. She convinces through coherence and the light she conveys. That is why the text says her words are clear to those who understand. Whoever has an open heart immediately perceives their purity. Whoever does not usually rejects the truth itself. In practice, this teaches us to evaluate which voices we are listening to. Many times we give attention to distorted advice that looks good at first, but carries poison inside. Wisdom, however, always points to what is just, even when it is not easy to hear. She does not soften truth to please, but speaks firmly to set free. The contrast between lie and truth may be uncomfortable, but it is precisely that discomfort that produces transformation. Truth may hurt, but it heals. Wisdom's righteousness also functions as a test. Those who love truth will draw closer to her. Those who prefer to live by illusions will flee. That is why wisdom divides paths. For the humble, she is a fountain of life. For the proud, she feels unbearable. The difference is not in her message, but in the disposition of the listener. Straight words will not please everyone, but they are essential for those who want to build a solid life. It is also important to note that wisdom never contradicts herself. Her consistency reflects God's own character, which is unchanging and just. This coherence builds trust. When we lean on her, we know we will not be deceived. Unlike human counsel, which shifts over time, wisdom's word remains. She is like a compass that always points north, regardless of the storm. Following her may not be the easiest path, but it will always be the safest. Thus, the third great revelation of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom manifests in words of righteousness and truth. They are not twisted, they carry no hidden agenda, and they do not bow to pressure. Whoever desires to walk in justice must learn to recognize and follow this voice. The world may offer attractive shortcuts, but only the wisdom of God ensures a destiny of peace. The choice is before us, to embrace her righteous truth or remain bound to illusions that corrupt. Proverbs 8 states it clearly: wisdom is more precious than silver, gold, or precious stones. This comparison is not only poetic, but intentional. Human beings tend to value what dazzles their eyes, so the text sets wisdom beside our symbols of wealth and power. Yet it insists that nothing compares to the impact of living with discernment. True wealth is not measured by bank accounts, but by a mind and heart guided by wisdom. Money can buy comfort, but it cannot guarantee peace. It can acquire possessions, but it cannot ensure balance. Wisdom, however, directs decisions, strengthens relationships, and opens paths that remain firm. A fortune may vanish overnight, but what is learned through wisdom can never be stolen. This contrast reveals that what sustains life is not external treasure, but inner treasure. Wisdom is invisible wealth that produces visible fruit. This perspective forces us to reflect. How many people sacrifice peace to accumulate riches? They chase after sparkling stones but neglect priceless principles. In the end, they discover that all their effort left them empty. Wisdom, on the other hand, gives meaning to what we already possess and teaches us to multiply it with purpose. She transforms ordinary resources into extraordinary opportunities. Whoever has wisdom, even if little, can live abundantly. Another detail is that wisdom does not despise material wealth, but puts everything in its rightful place. The text does not say gold and silver have no value, but it affirms they cannot compete with wisdom. The message is clear. If you must choose between losing everything but keeping wisdom, always choose wisdom. With her, you can rebuild, restart, and prosper again. Without her, even the greatest treasure becomes a trap. Priorities matter. Wisdom also protects us from the deceit of our own hearts. How many have been corrupted by the glitter of gold? How many families torn apart over inheritance? How many careers collapsed because greed spoke louder than prudence? Wisdom, however, never leads to ruin. She teaches how to handle resources justly, with balance and longevity. That is why her value is incomparable. She is wealth that multiplies. Without corruption, the message is profound. It is not just about choosing between wisdom and money, but about recognizing that without wisdom, even money loses its worth. When she guides our steps, even simple things become great. When she is ignored, even great achievements feel empty. The world measures success in numbers and possessions. God measures it in discernment and righteousness. Those who understand this stop chasing false shine and seek the eternal gold that never fades. Thus, the fourth great truth of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom is worth more than any material possession. She is the key that turns resources into blessings, choices into lasting results, and life into legacy. The text invites us to reverse our priorities. Seek wisdom first, knowing all else can be realigned through her. Whoever holds wisdom possesses the greatest treasure of existence, eternal, unshakable, and immeasurable. Wisdom is not simply accumulated knowledge. It is the very fountain of prudence, discernment, and sound counsel. Proverbs 8 reminds us that from her come understanding and the strength to make right decisions. Prudence is that ability to foresee consequences, to see beyond the immediate, and to act with balance. Without wisdom, even the most intelligent can fall into traps. But with her, even the simple learn to escape the snares of life. She's like a lamp lit on a dark road, revealing safe steps. Prudence means acting responsibly, but also knowing the right timing. Many falls occur not because the choice itself was wrong, but because it was made at the wrong time. Wisdom aligns the rhythm of the heart with the rhythm of life, avoiding both haste and delay. She helps us wait when it is necessary and act when the time is ripe. This harmony does not arise by chance, but by daily practice of listening and applying wisdom's voice. The text also shows wisdom as a source of counsel. How often do we feel lost when faced with difficult decisions? Wisdom offers secure direction, based not on passing trends, but on eternal principles. Following her counsel is like holding a map in a world where others are walking blindly. She does not only point out the road, but also gives the strength to walk it. That is why those who walk with wisdom never truly walk alone. Prudence also preserves relationships. How many arguments and broken ties could have been avoided if there had been more wisdom in speech and action? She teaches us to think before responding, to weigh before committing, to consider before judging. That is not weakness, but true strength. Controlling impulses is harder than winning outward battles. Prudence is a shield against reckless words and premature actions. It protects the soul from wounds that could have been prevented. Another aspect is that prudence does not remove risks, but equips us to face them. Life will always bring challenges, but wisdom teaches us to confront them with balance. She helps us weigh pros and cons, foresee consequences, and act confidently. The prudent are not paralyzed by fear, nor reckless in folly. They walk firmly, knowing every step has been considered and guided by divine light. Wisdom also strengthens the mind against deception. The imprudent fall easily into traps because they do not evaluate details. The prudent, however, perceive warning signs others overlook. They are not fooled by appearances because they have learned to see beyond what eyes can capture. This leads to fewer mistakes and more victories, not because life is perfect, but because it is guided by discernment. Prudence is like a filter, separating what looks good from what truly is good. Thus, the fifth great revelation of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom is the root of prudence. She grants balance, direction, and discernment to live securely and effectively. Without her, we walk blind. With her, we walk with firm steps. The call of the text is to seek this fountain daily, for from her flow the counsels that keep us steady. In life, those who rely on wisdom not only avoid falls, but build a solid journey marked by stability and purpose. Proverbs 8 reveals that it is by wisdom that kings reign and rulers decree justice. This means that every just government, every balanced leadership, every righteous decision is rooted in divine wisdom. Without her, even the most powerful thrones become unstable. The text teaches that true authority is not in military strength or riches, but in the ability to govern with discernment. It is wisdom that sustains power structures and ensures justice for all. This premise also shows that wisdom and power walk together healthily only when power submits to wisdom. Power without wisdom turns into tyranny. Wisdom without power remains mere theory. But when both unite, justice and balance prevail. Kings, rulers, and judges need this higher voice to avoid arbitrariness. It is wisdom that restrains corruption and directs decisions that impact multitudes. The wisdom that governs is not only for kings and princes. It also applies to family leadership, relationships, and even the way we manage our own lives. Each person governs in some way over their choices, their resources, and their influence. When guided by wisdom, this leadership becomes just and fruitful. But when led by folly, it breeds chaos and destruction. The principle is universal. To lead rightly requires wisdom. To govern with justice is to balance mercy and firmness. Many leaders fall into extremes. Either they are too rigid, crushing people, or too flexible, allowing injustice. Wisdom, however, teaches how to act with uprightness, keeping equilibrium. She reveals intentions, uncovers what is hidden, and guides decisions so there is no partiality. It is wisdom that keeps the scales balanced, ensuring truth prevails. History proves that empires fell because they rejected wisdom. Kings, drunk with power, forgetting justice, lost their thrones. On the other hand, leaders who listened to wise counsel left lasting legacies. This shows wisdom is stronger than armies or wealth. She not only sustains the present, but produces fruit for the future. A government founded on wisdom remains steady, even in crises. On a personal level, governing with justice also means governing ourselves. Whoever cannot rule over their emotions will never lead others with balance. Wisdom teaches self-control, to manage words and actions with fairness. This self-government is the foundation of any enduring leadership. A heart guided by wisdom becomes a fountain of justice, both for oneself and for others. Thus, the sixth great truth of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom is the foundation of just rule. She not only instructs leaders of nations, but also guides parents, teachers, mentors, and anyone in authority. Where there is wisdom, justice flows. Where she is absent, abuse and downfall follow. The text calls us to recognize that true reign comes only when decisions submit to the voice of divine wisdom. That is the key to balanced families, communities, and nations. Proverbs 8 declares an extraordinary truth. I love those who love me, and those who seek me early will find me. Here, wisdom speaks almost like a living person, responding with affection to those who pursue her. This shows us that wisdom is not just a set of rules, but a relationship. Whoever seeks wisdom is not only acquiring knowledge, but receiving love, favor, and care. The promise is direct. Those who come after wisdom with sincerity will never be left empty-handed. This love is not passive, but active. Wisdom pours herself out upon those who value her, bringing direction, protection, and abundance. It is as though there is divine reciprocity. The more we seek, the more we receive. The more we honor her, the more she honors us. This makes clear that wisdom does not reveal her treasures to those who despise her. She gives herself fully to those who treat her as a priority, like the most precious treasure worth pursuing above all else. Seeking wisdom requires effort and consistency. The text speaks of seeking her early, which conveys priority, intentionality, and perseverance. This is not a casual or occasional pursuit, but a disciplined lifestyle. Like someone who wakes up early to gather fresh harvest, those who rise to seek wisdom demonstrate their love through sacrifice. Their consistency proves their devotion. It is the evidence that they truly know her value. Wisdom's love is also revealed in practical ways. Whoever pursues her finds instructions that prevent pain, counsel that protects from failure, and discernment that opens doors. It is love expressed through real-life preservation. How many problems could we have avoided by listening to wise advice? How many times were we spared because we chose discernment over impulse? Wisdom's love is not only emotional but practical, concrete, and protective. The contrast is clear. Those who reject wisdom distance themselves from this love. To despise her is to despise the blessings she brings. Many want the outcomes of a wise life, but are unwilling to pay the price of pursuit. The text reminds us that there is no harvest without sowing. Whoever longs for wisdom must invest time, attention, and devotion. Only then can they experience the fullness of her love. This love is also transformative. It not only gives direction, but reshapes character. The more we draw near to wisdom, the more we begin to reflect her. Just as relationships shape us, so does walking with wisdom. It is in this process that we leave behind folly and grow into maturity, balance, and fruitfulness. Her love refines us until we mirror the very character of God. Thus, the seventh great revelation of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom is never indifferent to those who seek her. She loves, she protects, and she reveals herself abundantly to those who make her their pursuit. The secret lies in early, consistent, and sincere searching. Whoever places wisdom as their priority will encounter a love that expresses itself in guidance, preservation, and transformation. It is an invitation to seek with love and to be embraced by wisdom's love in return. Proverbs 8 teaches that with wisdom come riches, honor, and enduring wealth, but also justice. This is a powerful key. We are not speaking of empty prosperity or temporary success, but of abundance aligned with God's character. True prosperity is not merely financial, but spiritual and moral. Wisdom brings provision that does not corrupt, prosperity that does not destroy, riches that do not fade. It is the difference between owning things and possessing purpose. The enduring riches described here are not only gold or silver, but fruits that last. They include healthy relationships, spiritual legacy, inner peace, and a reputation rooted in integrity. These are treasures no time, crisis, or thief can take away. How many wealthy people live in emotional poverty despite their fortune? Wisdom enriches every area of life, balancing material blessings with eternal values. This is wealth that outlives generations. Justice is a central part of this package. Wisdom does not promise prosperity at any cost, but abundance built upon righteousness. The world teaches people to win, even if it means stepping on others, but wisdom teaches to prosper without losing integrity. That is the secret of durability. What is built with justice remains unshaken, while what is obtained with corruption dissolves quickly. Justice is the foundation of true prosperity. This truth invites us to examine our priorities. What good is wealth gained at the cost of wounds, grudges, and injustice? Scripture declares that better is a little with righteousness than great treasure without it. Wisdom teaches us to pursue prosperity with balance, avoiding both greed and negligence. Of justice, when pursued wisely, prosperity becomes blessing rather than curse. And only wisdom has the power to align the heart with this balance. Another point is that enduring wealth is not only inheritance for us, but also for those who come after us. Whoever walks in wisdom builds a legacy of values, examples, and principles that echo into children and descendants. More than leaving money, they leave character. This is the kind of wealth that truly transforms generations. The world may forget the figures in your account, but it will never forget the influence of a life shaped by wisdom. The promise of riches with justice also proves that God is not opposed to prosperity, but to corruption. He desires his children to prosper, but with balance and uprightness. Wisdom is the filter that prevents abundance from turning into arrogance. Whoever seeks riches without wisdom loses their soul in the process. Whoever seeks wisdom first will see wealth added as a byproduct. That is the key. Wisdom before, results after. Thus, the eighth great revelation of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom offers enduring riches sustained by justice. This prosperity does not corrupt, enslave, or fade with time. It multiplies, blesses, and produces fruit that remains. The invitation of the text is clear. Seek wisdom first, and riches will follow in a just, balanced, and lasting way. It is the difference between hoarding treasures that vanish and building wealth that transcends into eternity. Proverbs 8 unveils a profound mystery. Wisdom existed before the creation of the world. The text says she was established before the depths, before the mountains, before the hills. This shows that wisdom is not a product of human experience, but part of the very essence of God. She was not invented, but has always been. When the universe was still only a thought in the Creator's heart, wisdom was already present, standing eternal. This revelation reminds us that wisdom transcends time. While human knowledge evolves, shifts, and even contradicts itself, wisdom remains unchanged. She does not age, lose relevance, or weaken with centuries. What was true thousands of years ago remains true today. This proves wisdom is timeless, transcending culture, and remains the foundation of life in every generation. To follow wisdom is to align with what is eternal, not what is temporary. The eternity of wisdom also reveals her depth. We are not dealing with practical advice only, but with principles that uphold creation itself. If wisdom existed before the world, then all things were built upon her foundation. The universe is a reflection of divine wisdom in action. Natural laws, cosmic order, and the harmony of life bear the fingerprints of wisdom, who stood with God from the beginning. This also confronts our limitation. We often think we know enough to decide for ourselves, but our vision is short. Wisdom, however, comes from an eternal source that sees past, present, and future simultaneously. She is not bound by circumstances or human trends. To follow her is to choose to walk with the perspective of the eternal, rather than relying only on our momentary understanding. Another powerful truth is that wisdom's eternity guarantees her reliability. If she existed before creation, she can never be shaken by what was created. No culture, philosophy, or government can cancel her. That means we always have a firm reference for living, regardless of the world's changes. This stability brings peace, because we know that though everything around us shifts, wisdom stands forever. In practice, living by wisdom is choosing to stand on what is eternal rather than what is fleeting. It is seeking counsel that has already proven its worth throughout history, instead of chasing fads that fade quickly. It is understanding that when we follow wisdom, we align ourselves with God's heart. He who always was and always will be. This connection puts us in tune with eternity itself. Thus, the ninth great revelation of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom is eternal. She predates time, sustains the universe, and remains our unshakable guide. This changes how we approach her, not as one option among many, but as an indispensable foundation. Whoever embraces wisdom participates in something far greater than themselves. They participate in the eternal reality of God. And that is the greatest privilege a human being could ever know. Picture the universe being designed, every detail set in order, and beside the Creator stood wisdom, witnessing and participating in every act. Proverbs 8 describes this scene. When God traced the boundaries of the seas, established the heavens, and laid the foundations of the earth, wisdom was there as an architect by his side. This is not mere poetry. It is revelation that everything in existence was shaped through eternal and perfect principles. This picture is powerful because it reveals the cosmos was not born of chance, but of divine intelligence in motion. Nothing came into being without purpose. The sun, the moon, the stars, the oceans, and even the winds obey laws established by wisdom. It is as though every gear of the universe is synchronized by the same heavenly pattern. This perfect order points to a mind that not only created, but continues to sustain all things. By presenting herself as co-worker in creation, wisdom shows us that life has structure, not chaos. The world was organized to function according to clear principles. When we respect them, we prosper. When we ignore them, we suffer. The disorder we see today is not the fruit of wisdom, but of rejecting her. Humanity, by disobeying eternal principles, experiences the weight of walking against the order set from the very beginning. Another striking point is that if wisdom was present in creation, she knows how everything works at its deepest level. Who better to guide us than the one who stood beside God when all was formed? Seeking wisdom is like consulting the original blueprint of life. It is receiving instructions from one who saw the universe built from its foundation. To embrace wisdom is to hold the manual that explains how to live fully and meaningfully. Wisdom also reveals her link to the beauty of creation. She did not only establish laws, but delighted in seeing them take form. The text describes her participation as one who rejoiced before the Creator. This conveys delight, joy, and satisfaction. The world was not created coldly, but in the midst of celebration. Wisdom rejoices when we live in harmony, and she grieves when we choose disorder. This truth challenges us to live in tune with creation. If the universe was built through wisdom, then our choices should reflect that same order. Living by wisdom means aligning with the natural flow of life, respecting boundaries, recognizing principles, and celebrating the beauty God embedded in everything. It is not struggling against the current, but flowing with it. It is walking in rhythm with eternity rather than against it. Thus, the 10th great revelation of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom stood beside God in creation as both architect and witness of the universe. This invites us to see that all existence is grounded in eternal principles, and only when we align with them can we thrive. To follow wisdom is to live according to the divine order that sustains the cosmos. It is to walk in harmony with what was designed by God from the beginning to be perfect and enduring. The universe was not born in cold silence or mechanical indifference. The Bible reveals that wisdom rejoiced before God, delighting in every detail of creation. Imagine the spectacle: seas receiving their limits, stars being lit across the heavens, mountains rising in majesty, and in the midst of it all, wisdom dancing in joy. Creation was not only an act of power, but also of pleasure and celebration. There was laughter and delight in shaping the world. This revelation transforms our view of life itself. The universe is not the result of accident or an impersonal force, but of a God who delights in creating and placed wisdom as a joyful witness in the process. The tone of Proverbs 8 is clear. Wisdom was not simply observing, but participating with delight. That means living with wisdom is also living with joy. Life was never meant to be endured as a burden, but to be celebrated in harmony with the Creator. The most striking detail is that wisdom rejoiced especially with the children of men. In other words, before humanity even existed, wisdom was already delighting in us. This reveals that God's plan has always placed humanity at the center of His care and joy. Man is not an accident in the universe, but the object of divine delight. Wisdom celebrates our existence, proving that every life holds purpose and immeasurable value. This joy of wisdom is also a call to change our posture toward life. How often do we see only pain and chaos, forgetting that the foundation of the world was laid in joy? Proverbs 8 reminds us that creation began with celebration, meaning that joy is embedded in the very design of life. Even in difficulty, purpose and beauty remain. Wisdom teaches us to find reasons to rejoice where others see only reasons to complain. Notice also that wisdom did not rejoice only in the grand, but in the details. The order of the seas, the balance of the winds, the firmness of the earth, each became a source of delight. This teaches us that walking in wisdom means learning to celebrate not just great victories, but also small signs of order and beauty in daily life. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when seen through the eyes of wisdom. Moreover, this joy is contagious. When we draw near to wisdom, we too learn to rejoice more in life. Complaints give way to gratitude, and despair is replaced with hope. Wisdom teaches us to celebrate the process and not only the outcome. Just as she rejoiced during creation itself, we can also rejoice while walking, even before the final result of God's work is visible in us. Therefore, the 11th great revelation of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom is marked by joy. From the beginning, she rejoiced before God and with humanity, showing that life was created to be celebrated. Walking with wisdom means learning to see beauty in process, value in details, and purpose even in what seems small. It is living with a heart full of delight, in tune with the joy that marked the very creation of the world. There is a hidden promise in Proverbs 8 that should ignite every heart. Blessed is the man who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. True happiness does not come from external achievements, but from the posture of listening to wisdom's voice every single day. The text shows that blessedness is not luck, but the fruit of constancy. Those who position themselves to hear will experience life in abundance. Notice that this is not about hearing once and moving on. The verb suggests perseverance, discipline, and vigilance. It is a daily routine of waiting, like someone returning each morning to a fountain of fresh water. Wisdom rewards those who remain, not those who seek sporadically. The truly blessed are those who transform the pursuit of wisdom into a lifestyle, not an occasional act. This daily posture separates them from the careless. The image of watching at the gates conveys humility. The disciple who desires wisdom does not invade, does not demand, but waits in the right place, honoring her authority. Listening requires patience. Many give up because they want immediate answers, but the blessed remain until instruction comes. They understand that waiting at the door is itself an act of reverence and recognition of wisdom's worth. To be blessed for hearing wisdom is also to experience protection. Those who remain attentive to her voice avoid traps that could ruin their lives. How many wounds could have been prevented had we heeded wise counsel we ignored? The blessing of happiness is tied to this protection. Wisdom warns, instructs, and guides, but only the attentive reap her fruit. Whoever closes their ears ends up tasting the bitterness of folly. Another powerful truth is that this blessedness is not temporary but continuous. It does not depend on external circumstances, but on an inner fountain renewed daily. The blessed person finds joy even in crisis because their life rests on unshakable principles. The secret is simple yet profound. Listen every day. It is not enough to have listened yesterday, it must be today again. Constancy ensures stability. This promise also confronts our daily routine. How often do we give priority to voices of news, social media, and opinions while neglecting wisdom? The text urges us to reorder our priorities. Listen to wisdom first. She alone brings direction, peace, and real happiness. The world promises joy in achievements, but only wisdom delivers joy that nothing external can take away. That is the true meaning of being blessed. Thus, the 12th great revelation of Proverbs 8 is that blessed are those who listen with perseverance. They wait at her doors, watch and expect, and for that reason they receive abundant life. This is the key to lasting happiness, not chasing illusions, but remaining at the eternal source of understanding. Whoever learns to listen daily discovers that blessedness is not random luck, but the harvest of constancy. Few promises in Scripture shine as brightly as this one in Proverbs 8. For whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. This is not mere biological survival, but true life, full, abundant, and filled with divine purpose. Wisdom is presented as a key that opens the doors to real existence. Whoever finds her not only lives longer, but lives better. She is not an accessory to life. She is its very essence and foundation. This shows us that true life cannot be found in fleeting pleasures or material conquests. How many have much and yet feel dead inside? Wisdom, on the other hand, offers vitality, joy, and daily renewal. She makes dry places bloom, rekindles hope in what seemed lost, and turns life's journey into something meaningful. To walk with wisdom is to experience a continual breath of life from God. Finding life through wisdom also means experiencing God's favor. This favor is more than external blessings. It is divine approval resting on our steps. It is like walking under a light that illuminates the way and opens doors no one can shut. Favor cannot be bought or earned by merit. It flows naturally to those who choose to live by eternal principles. Wisdom draws God's smile over a person's life. Notice also that wisdom must be found. This indicates search, effort, and intentionality. Life does not simply fall into our laps. It is discovered by those who seek with all their heart. The text challenges us to abandon passivity and become seekers. The promise is clear. Whoever seeks will find. And what will be found is far greater than any earthly achievement, life itself, with divine favor included. Wisdom leads to life because she protects us from premature death. How many lose their lives because of reckless choices, toxic relationships, or foolish decisions? Wisdom rescues us from these destructive paths. She is like a guide pointing out safe routes, preserving not just the quantity of days, but the quality of them. Those who walk with wisdom extend life in every sense, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Another remarkable truth is that the life wisdom offers is not limited to the present, but reaches into eternity. By aligning with God's principles, we not only taste abundance now, but secure eternal life in His presence. This widens our vision. To seek wisdom is not only a strategy to live well here, but also to live forever. It is both temporal blessing and eternal destiny. Thus, the 13th great revelation of Proverbs 8 is that wisdom is the gateway to real life. She gives meaning, protection, purpose, and eternity. To live without her is to exist without direction. To live with her is to walk toward the fullness God designed for us. This choice changes everything. Whoever finds wisdom finds life, and with it, the unshakable favor of the Lord. Few statements in Proverbs 8 sound as sharp and sobering as this. But he who sins against me wrongs his own soul. All those who hate me love death. Here, there is no middle ground. To reject wisdom is not just an intellectual mistake. It is an act of violence against oneself. It is like closing your eyes to the light and deliberately walking into the dark. Whoever despises wisdom is, in practice, choosing the path of self-destruction. This warning reveals that ignoring wisdom is a form of inward sabotage. When we refuse instruction, we are not first harming others, but ourselves. Life becomes heavier, mistakes more frequent, and consequences more painful. It is like refusing medicine and embracing disease. Wisdom never forces herself, but those who reject her inevitably harvest bitter fruit that could have been avoided. The pain is self-inflicted. The text also uncovers a deeper spiritual reality. To hate wisdom is to love death. This may sound extreme, but it is the truth. Whoever despises divine principles is consciously or unconsciously flirting with ruin. Death here is not only physical, but also emotional and spiritual. It means the loss of meaning, disconnection from the source of life, and absence of purpose. Without wisdom, the soul becomes barren, fruitless, and hopeless. We must also understand that rejecting wisdom is not always with words, but often with actions. How many times do we know what is right but choose the opposite? How often do we prefer shortcuts of danger over the safe road? This silent neglect is just as deadly. To ignore wisdom, even without declaring it, is to walk toward the abyss. Rejection is not only an act of open rebellion, but also of negligence. The danger is intensified because rejection often looks harmless at first. Ignoring one piece of advice may seem small, but when repeated, it creates a pattern of destruction. It is like a crack in a wall that seems insignificant until it brings the whole structure down. That is how it is with those who despise wisdom. Step by step, they move closer to ruin without even noticing it. Small choices build catastrophic outcomes. This point is a call for personal reflection. Is there any area of our lives where we are rejecting wisdom? Perhaps we have heard but not obeyed, known but resisted. The Bible equates this to harming ourselves. The way of life is open, but those who despise it prefer roads that end in destruction. Rejection does not wound wisdom. It wounds the rejecter. It is self-betrayal in its purest form. Thus, the 14th great revelation of Proverbs 8 is a solemn warning. To reject wisdom is to reject life itself. There is no neutrality. Either we embrace wisdom's light, or we walk in the darkness of death. That is the danger this chapter exposes. Whoever despises divine principles becomes their own worst enemy. Yet hope remains, for even today wisdom is calling. The choice stands before us, to welcome her and live, or to reject her and perish. Proverbs 8 does not end with neutrality, but with a decision that echoes into eternity, the choice between life and death. Wisdom stands as the great dividing line, showing that there is no middle path. Whoever finds her finds life and the favor of the Lord. Whoever rejects her embraces death and ruin. This is the climax of the chapter, both an invitation and a warning. Human destiny rests on how each person responds to wisdom's voice. This moment is powerful because it removes excuses and places responsibility directly on us. It is not fate, chance, or circumstance that decides, but our response to wisdom. God has already made wisdom available, already spoken, already opened the way. The question is whether we will listen or ignore her. And this decision is not abstract. It is lived out daily in every choice, in every response we make to life's demands. The text makes clear that wisdom leads to fullness of life, while rejection leads to self-destruction. There is no neutral zone. Either we listen or we turn away. This reminds us of the words of Jesus, "Whoever is not with me is against me." The call is radical because the consequence is radical. Life belongs to those who surrender to wisdom. Death belongs to those who despise her. The seriousness of this choice cannot be overstated. This truth also highlights God's respect for human freedom. He offers wisdom, but does not impose it. The invitation is public, the voice is clear, the doors are open, but the decision remains ours. That respect is both a gift and a weight. Freedom to choose also means responsibility to face the outcome. It is like standing before two roads, and whichever step we take will determine the entire direction of the journey. The climax of Proverbs 8 also mirrors real life in every sphere. In family, finances, relationships, and spirituality, we constantly face the choice between wisdom and folly, and every decision shapes the future. Destiny is not built in a single moment, but in the accumulation of daily choices. With each response, we either step closer to life or closer to death. The pattern of our decisions writes the story of our lives. Another powerful truth is that choosing wisdom does not impact only the individual, but also communities and generations. Families, societies, and nations prosper when they embrace wisdom, but collapse when they despise her. The stakes are collective as well as personal. The choice we make today can echo into the lives of those who come after us. That makes the climax of Proverbs 8 not only personal, but also social, generational, and eternal. Thus, the 15th and final revelation of Proverbs 8 is that life and death stand before us, and wisdom is the key to choosing rightly. This is not philosophy, but survival. The chapter calls us not to delay, but to embrace wisdom now, for our future depends on it. The invitation is urgent, and the promise is sure. Those who find her will live. Those who reject her will perish. The choice is in our hands today and forever. After exploring every detail of Proverbs 8, one truth becomes crystal clear. Wisdom is not optional. It is a matter of life or death. She stood beside God at creation. She cries out in the streets today, and she remains the dividing line between those who find purpose and those who waste their days in ruin. The text is direct. Whoever finds wisdom finds life and favor with God, but whoever rejects her embraces destruction. There is no neutral ground. Every day we are making a choice to listen to wisdom's voice or to ignore it and suffer the consequences. So here is the challenge. What will you do now? Will you treat wisdom as something distant, or will you pursue her early, daily, and consistently as the greatest treasure of life? Remember, money, titles, and pleasures will fade, but wisdom endures forever. This is the moment to align your heart with what is eternal. Choosing wisdom is choosing life, walking with God, and becoming someone who leaves behind legacy and eternity. Don't delay this decision, because every step without wisdom is a step closer to death. If this message spoke to you, leave a like, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You might be the very channel God uses to transform a life today. And now I ask you, which of the 15 revelations from Proverbs 8 impacted you the most? Write it in the comments. I would love to hear how God's voice reached you through this chapter. May wisdom from eternity, until your days today, be your closest companion, the one who takes you by the hand and leads you to true life.